In today's society, we hear stories of people being framed for crimes they have not committed. Countless individuals innocent of crime spend years wasting their lives behind bars simply due to the fact that they were at the wrong place at the wrong time or met the physical criteria and profile of the alleged criminal. This allows us to pose the highly questioned theory of genetically framing someone for a crime. Is it possible to link an innocent person to a crime scene and/or a crime they have not in fact committed? Well, the DNA, also known as the deoxyribonucleic acid, present in all living organisms, contains genetic information, which acts as a set of biological instructions for our genes to make proteins. To say the least, these proteins do basically everything and are what differentiate us from one another, physically and mentally. DNA has a double helix structure, simply due to a spiral ladder. The outermost units of the double helix, also known as the backbone of the ladder, are composed of phosphate and sugar molecules. This middle of the backbone is composed of paired bases of nitrogen. These paired bases include adenine with thymine and guanine with cytosine. These nucleotides made up by the genetic code and pattern in our DNA. In our DNA, there are two processes, transcription and translation. In these processes, genetic patterns are used to build a photocopy of the DNA, able to leave the nucleus acting as a messenger. Ribonucleic acid, which has the code to build proteins. These proteins depict factors such as appearance, eye color, height, or hair color, in which we inherit from our parents. We can trace the origins of our physical or mental attributes thanks to the Human Genome Project, a project made in 1990, which changed our understanding of genetics. The plan in the simplest form is that scientists produce maps of every genetic makeup of humans. This contains 3 billion pairs of nucleotides and 30,000 genes found in human beings. Scientists were then able to detect genes controlling one's physical characteristics, their inherited personality, and even genetic disorders one inherits from their parents or carries amongst their families. This observable trait we inherit from our parents are commonly referred to as the phenotypic characteristics. For example, if you examine an individual's eyes, the observable trait one can express would be the color of their eyes, such as blue, green, brown, hazel, etc. This phenotypic characteristic is the result of different genes being expressed. For each characteristic, there is a dominant and a recessive trait, the dominant trait being the one observed and seen by the human eye. With knowing this information, let's ask ourselves again, can one truly and completely frame another individual for a crime they have not in fact committed? Well, let me put it this way. Human DNA is an exceptionally complex structure containing 30,000 different genes. Unless you are an identical twin who has an identical set of DNA as yours, you can't possibly replicate all your DNA cells and give them to someone else. That would mean you would have to replace every single DNA cell with your DNA cells. This is extremely time-consuming and has not been carried out on any other human individual yet. Our skin cells, fingerprints, spit, hair follicles, and blood samples are very unique compared to others. This is why fingerprints at a crime scene point us to the possible suspects. Secondly, if you were trying to change someone's appearance to match yours and ultimately clone yourself, you would have to start when a zygote undergoes mitosis. This is basically as soon as haploid sperm cells and haploid egg cells unite and form a diploid zygote. This process is highly expensive and extremely time-consuming. This timeline also do not match up, and no one will believe a baby is capable of a crime or fit to be an inmate. So, if you ever think of genetically framing someone for a crime, think again.